of the 22 wells, and the tanks are over here and so forth. So originally, they told us in our very first meeting with Extraction, which was in September of 2014, they told us there would be a pipeline to carry the minerals off the site and take it either for processing elsewhere or else for transportation into another pipeline.
Okay.
So that lasted for about a year, and in November the city called us together again. After the first meeting, they told us there are two things that they're promising you that are so important. If they renege on either of them, we'll have to call another meeting and we'll have to go through the process again. One of them was the use of an electric drilling rig, which they are using, and it's much more quiet than a diesel-powered generator rig.
Okay.
And the other is doing a pipeline. So at that time, November of 15, a little over a year after the first meeting, the price of oil was in the $40 barrel range, maybe a little lower. It was bottoming out. And they told us in the second meeting, sorry, no pipeline, we can't afford it. Yeah. So
flaring then is what the answer is to that, right?
It was an economic decision.
So they're going to flare then?
No, it's just that they're going to haul everything away by truck.
By truck, okay.
Yeah. So we're going to have all these tanker trucks. They're going to take the oil from these wells, and they're going to exit right here next to, my heavens, there's John and Dawn Stein right there. So that's her bedroom window right there, and this is the access road right next to it. So everything, all the trucks, and their actual traffic impact study showed it was going to take over 100,000 entries and exits, 100,000 entries, 100,000 exits through this access road here into the site, on and off 71st Avenue over the life of the project. And an oil and gas well has a typical life of maybe 25 to 30 years. So if you multiply out how many trips they're talking about per year, it's a total of 200,000 individual trips in and out. And that's hideous. So we've got all of those trucks that are being distributed out through neighborhood streets to haul the product out to some processing location. And they spent the better part of the next year or year and a half denying that they had ever committed to a pipeline. Well, now, just 2 days ago, on Monday, 2 days ago, they announced formally what they had been hinting at for some months, since basically November. They are going to do a pipeline, but they wanted to
because the oil price went up.
Oh yeah, they can afford it now, and now they are denying that they ever said there wouldn't be a pipeline. Yes. So I mean, every time they make an announcement, they're rewriting history, and anybody who was at these meetings or was reading a newspaper would tell you, no, that's not quite the case, guys. I mean, so we have lots of problems. Our primary problem, believe it or not, is with the COGCC.
Sure.
The Extraction deciding to go back with the pipeline again is absolutely wonderful. It's a huge decision. So as far as truck traffic is concerned, it's going to cut it back demonstrably. There will still be some transfer of oil from the wellheads to temporary tanks, and then it will be separated into the three components of produced water, natural gas, and oil. So they will still have separation here at Triple Creek, and then it will be piped off-site. The produced water will still go to injection wells way over in eastern Weld County, and that'll have to be trucked.
Okay.
Natural gas will be piped out of here because there's a natural gas network that.
So they're not going to flare necessarily.
No.
Okay.
So that
good.
pretty much covers, all the high points of Greeley and Weld County. So natural gas is easy to get out of here, but as far as taking care of the petroleum, then that's a bigger undertaking. So I mean, I don't know for sure, but I'm thinking we're talking in the range of round number 6 miles plus or minus, and they're going to take it to a gathering line, which is going to, an interstate pipeline, which is going to take it all the way to Oklahoma.
Sure.
And it'll be processed there. At least that's what I hear the last time they would talk to me. But Extraction doesn't talk to us anymore because a couple of months back we filed suit against the Colorado Oil and Gas Conservation Commission, the state agency that regulates oil and gas for the state of Colorado. And both Extraction and COGA, Colorado Oil and Gas Association, have signed on as interveners to that lawsuit. So they, whenever it's time for them to make a filing or to react to one of our filings, then all three of those entities can join in. All three, COGCC, Extraction, and COGA. So they're legally involved in the process, but it's of their own volition. We're not suing them. They decided to step in, but they still don't talk to us, so whatever.
So are you essentially suing about the permit or the...
What we are suing about is there's three things. The background is important to know. About 3 years back, the governor appointed a task force, and their objective, we're talking round numbers, 20 people, their objective was to travel the state, interview people from all walks of life. And these people supposedly came from all walks of life who were on this Governor's Oil and Gas task force. Yeah. Not really. Heavily weighted.
Yeah,
oil,
totally.
Oil and gas.
There was one from Greeley, I can't remember her name.
Yes.
I met with her.
Yes, she's up in Estes now. Yeah.
Oh, is she? Yeah, okay.
Yeah. And as a matter of fact, the guy who was our attorney, Matt Sura, S-U-R-A.
He used to work for WCC. Kevin knows Matt Sura.
Okay, yeah, from Western Slope days.
Yeah.
Yeah. Matt's amazing. He was our attorney for the first year or so. And then once we got to the point where we're talking lawsuit with COGCC, it's no longer in our ability to pay for that. I mean, we're able to raise funds from contributions throughout the neighborhood to pay for Matt, and he's been wonderful. I cannot say enough about Matt Sura. So he referred us to University of Denver. They have something called the Environmental Law Clinic, and so their students, their law students, not take off a year, but in addition to classwork, they will come and work in this clinic on real live cases for 1 year of their 3 years on campus. And so this is the first time they've ever taken on an oil and gas situation. So, which is a big deal in Colorado, of course. So they figured it was a good experience for them, and it's gratis, pro bono. So it's how can we turn it down? And they're excellent also. We have so much respect for those people.
You're talking to a University of Denver Law School dropout right here.
Is that right?
I am, yeah.
Good program.
It is a good program, though.
So where were we? At any rate, the history. So due to the fact that the governor's task force, oil and gas task force, was relatively unsuccessful. They came up with only a couple of recommendations having to do with drilling in urban areas. Good for us. But all the other things that they wanted to achieve had to do with primarily getting some form of consensus so that you wouldn't have Broomfield, Longmont was the case.
Banning, right? It wasn't that
banning it over fracking. No oil and gas in city limits in Longmont. Fort Collins is in the middle, and they said, we want to study it for 5 years. Greeley's on the other end saying, come on in. Okay, so they wanted to arrive at some form of consensus so that they could have an agreement and go around and peddle it to all the towns, and they'd get a lot of people to sign on to it, onto this consensus form. It wasn't going to happen, too contentious, too extreme parties, and so none of that materialized. But they did come up with a set of rules having to do with providing additional protections for people in what are called urban mitigation areas, UMA. And so if you meet the criteria, which has to do with having at least 14 homes, at least 11 homes within 1,000 feet of the sound wall, then you qualify for being, I'm sorry, that's within a 180-degree half circle.
Gotcha. Okay.
And so we do. Matter of fact, here's some lines right here. So showing what the dimensions to houses are from the corners of the sound wall. So we had 14. So obviously we fit the criteria for an urban mitigation area. In addition, the next level up is you're a large urban mitigation area if you have more than 8 wells and tanks on your project. Well, this is 22.
So there you go.
Not a problem. So we meet all the criteria, and so it's supposed to provide us the extra protections. And those protections are, number one, that the operator has to do a robust alternative location analysis to prove that there's nowhere else close by that you can still reach the minerals that they're drilling to, which incidentally are 2.5 miles away. It's a state record. They're going for the longest horizontal drills in state history here. They're going 2.5 miles to the Greeley Country Club.
Crazy.
And, yeah. And so, where was I? I lost my tongue.